Getting hit by another driver and finding out they don't have insurance feels like the worst case scenario. And honestly, it kind of is, especially if the other person can't personally pay you. But here's what most Georgia drivers don't know. You may still have options to get compensated. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do when the other driver has no insurance and where you recover the money you deserve. Hi, I'm attorney David Bronze. I started my career working for the insurance companies, and that meant my job was figuring out how to pay people like you as little as possible. Seeing how that system works from the inside not only broke my heart, but it's also exactly why I share these videos. I want you to know the same tricks I used to use against people so that you can protect yourself. And if you ever need to talk to an attorney you can trust, give us a call here at Bronze Law. First, let me give you the reality. According to a 2023 study by the Insurance Research Council, the IRC, about 1 in 6 drivers in Georgia have no insurance. So if you've been hit by an uninsured driver, you're not alone. It used to be when I first started my career, I maybe saw one case every 3 or 4 months where the other driver was uninsured. Now, when I'm recording this video in January of 2026, we're seeing one driver a week. It has only gotten worse. But here's the good news. Just because the other driver doesn't have insurance doesn't mean you're out of luck. Let me walk you through exactly what steps you can take and do to save your case. The first thing you need to do is check your own insurance policy for something that's called uninsured motorist coverage, or Uninsured motorist coverage is designed for exactly the situation we're talking about in this video. It's part of your own policy, and it kicks in when you're hit by a driver who has no insurance, uninsured, or not enough insurance to cover the full value of your case. In Georgia, every insurance company is actually required to offer you coverage when you buy a policy. Now, you can decline it, but most people accept it without really understanding what it does. So even though you think you know your policy, I always want you to pull it out and look at it. Here's how it all works. Let's say the other driver who hit you is uninsured, but you call your agent and find out you have $100,000 in uninsured motorist coverage on your policy. That means you can file a claim with your own insurance company, and they're going to step into the shoes of the other driver, the at-fault driver, and pay your medical bills, lost wages, and pain and suffering as if they were insured. You're essentially using your own coverage as a backup plan, and it's the best coverage you can buy. So I want you to pull out your policy or call your agent right now and ask or look for, do I have uninsured motorist coverage? And if so, what are my limits? If you have it, that's often your first and best option. And here's something important, because I know you're thinking it. Using your coverage will not raise your rates. Why? Because you didn't cause the wreck. It's actually in the law that creates uninsured and underinsured motorists. There's a second option that is similar, but applies to a slightly different situation, and that's underinsured motorist coverage, or UIM. You heard me mention it earlier in the video. Let's say the other driver has insurance, but their insurance policy limits are too low to cover your full damages. Maybe they have the minimum limits in Georgia, which is $25,000, but your medical bills alone are $50,000. That's where the underinsured motorist coverage comes in. It's going to cover the gap between what the other driver's insurance pays and what you actually need. So in the example I just gave you, if you have $50,000 in medical bills, but the other driver has $25,000 of coverage, just on the medical bills alone, that driver is $25,000 underinsured. In Georgia, underinsured motorist coverage usually comes bundled with uninsured motorist coverage. They're usually one line on your insurance policy, and sometimes it can say uninsured, but in Georgia, uninsured and underinsured are the same thing, the same coverage. So if you have coverage on your policy, you have UIM coverage. I want you to check your policy to be sure. So let's continue to talk about this second situation. If the at-fault driver has insurance, but not enough, what you're going to do is first file a claim with their insurance to max out their policy, exhaust those limits, and then you turn to your UIM coverage for the rest. That's the critical step most people miss because they assume the other driver's insurance is all they can get. And you also have to get the full policy limits from the other driver before you can access your underinsured. The third option is something called medical payments coverage, or MedPay. This is another part of your insurance policy that you may have that you don't know about. A lot of people have medical payments and don't even know they have it or what it is. I see it all the time with clients. MedPay is designed to cover your medical expenses after an accident, and that's regardless of who's at fault. So even if you're at fault, you can still use it. It's usually going to be a smaller amount, like $1,000, $3,000, or $5,000, but it pays out quickly, and you can use it right away to cover bills like emergency room bills, doctor visits, prescriptions, while you're still trying to figure out the bigger claim. Unlike uninsured motorist coverage, MedPay, though, doesn't cover lost wages or pain and suffering. It's just medical bills, but it's fast, it's easy to access, and it can give you breathing room while you're recovering. So in addition to checking your policy for uninsured or UIM coverage, I want you to look for MedPay coverage too. It's helpful and it's going to cover your medical costs. And yeah, you can still use UM or UIM later for your damages, but there might be an offset, and that's a topic for a different video. The fourth option is to sue the at-fault driver directly. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This is the least effective option, and most personal injury lawyers don't pursue it. And here's why. It's really difficult. If someone doesn't have car insurance, they usually don't have much money either. So even if you file a lawsuit, go through the litigation for 2 to 3 years, have a trial, get a judgment, collecting that money on that judgment is nearly impossible. Yeah, you can garnish wages, put a lien on property, or seize assets, but if that person doesn't have a steady job or doesn't own anything, there's nothing to take. And there's nothing to stop that person from walking out of the courtroom after your judgment and declaring bankruptcy. That said, there are situations where it may be worth it. If the at-fault driver owns a home, has significant assets, or a good income, then filing a lawsuit might actually result in recovery, but that's still a might. And remember, in Georgia, you have 2 years from the date of the accident to file a personal injury lawsuit. So you do have time to evaluate whether this is a realistic option. So here's what you need to do right now if you've been hit by an uninsured driver. First, check your own insurance policy. Look for uninsured motorist coverage or underinsured motorist coverage and MedPay. If you have any of these, you may already have a way to get compensated or at least have some moves on the chessboard. Second, always document everything. Take photos of the accident scene, get the other driver's information, even if they don't have insurance. Get witness statements and keep records of all your medical treatment and expenses. And finally, I need you to talk to a lawyer. Most of these types of claims are going to require negotiations with your own insurance company. And yes, your own insurance company is going to fight you on these claims. They don't just hand over money because you're their customer and you ask nicely. You need someone who knows how to handle these cases and get the full amount you're entitled to. If you've been hit by an uninsured driver in Georgia, give us a call at Braun's Law for a free case review. We're going to look at your insurance policy, evaluate all your options, and tell you exactly what your case is worth. And here's something else you need to know. Whether the other driver has insurance or not, one of the biggest parts of your claim is proving your lost wages and lost earning capacity. A lot of people are going to leave money on the table because they don't know how to document this correctly. I'm going to break down exactly how to prove these lost wages and document them in this next video.